Going to the House of a Thousand Corpses, you were running from the scare actor. He was running like this, the Lord's run, and the scare actor behind him runs like him. He's like this, just running around. Hello everyone, we are Deadpan Entertainment. I'm Elijah, this is Lawrence, and in this video we're going to be talking about this year's Halloween Horror Nights mazes for the Hollywood Park, Universal Studios Hollywood. We're going to be going through kind of our way of ranking the mazes. There are 10 mazes, 4 scare zones, and 1.5 show if you include the opening Scaremony, which we did all, like pretty much everything at least one time. So yeah, we're going to be
we were efficient.
We were very efficient. We're going to be doing kind of a top 10 list, but also ranking them into categories. So at the top of the list, like the top 4 mazes in this case, are going to be the do not miss mazes. Like, disregarding the wait time, even if it's a 2-hour wait, we still recommend going there.
Yes, I mean, it's 4 mazes, so that's kind of handy, because I mean, because the wait times can get so crazy, this top tier bracket are for the mazes where, with our recommendations, if you guys go there and you know you're only going to get to 3 or 4 mazes, make sure these are the first ones you go to. Yeah,
that's kind of like our thought process of ranking these things or grouping these together. Yeah. And right beneath the do not miss is the depends on the wait section. In that section we have 3 mazes, so like the title says, like what we're thinking, maybe if it was an hour or less, it'd be definitely a good maze to go to.
I'm less patient. I'd even go so far as to say 45 minutes, but basically, like the title says, the mazes are really, really fun, but we don't think they're worth a super long wait, if that makes sense. Doesn't mean they're bad, it's just,
there are better ones.
They're higher priorities.
And then right beneath both of those is the probably not section.
You're not missing anything.
Yeah, I mean, you could do it if you want to, by all means, if you're a fan of the properties, because there's a lot of good properties this year. If you want to do it, by all means, we just wouldn't go there unless there was maybe, what, 10-minute wait list?
Yeah, extra time to spare.
And then we have a dishonorable mention.
So of the shows, there were 2. You had the opening Scaremony, extra points for a pun in the title, and then you had a performance by the world-renowned Jabawockeez. Or if you're not a fan of them, you could always say the Jabbawockeez, am I right? But they were great, actually. I loved everything they had to do. We have 2 audience members laughing at the ridiculousness of the joke in the background. It's his first time. This is you've done Horror Nights like maybe 3 times, let's say, but this is your first time seeing their show. Yes. Yeah, pretty much. In fact, I keep getting them confused with the Poriotics. But anyway, so yes, there are only 2, Scaremony and then the performance by the Jabawockeez, and so at the top of that list, we had decided it would be the Scaremony.
No, it'd be the Jabawockeez.
Oh.
If you had to do one, which is...
I was confused.
Not really, it doesn't really come to that, because you could really only do Scaremony if you show up earlier enough. So the
That's true.
Or let's say the event opens at 7 o'clock, you can only watch the Scaremony if you're in around that time. So if you're doing the early entry, which is what I would recommend, you're not going to catch Scaremony most likely. And it's only like a 1-2 minute show, so. Yeah,
when it was starting, we had people coming out of the woodwork, and I was like, oh snap! I felt the adrenaline coming, and then the first thing that caught me off guard was there wasn't as many people as I was expecting, and then the cool part though was when we started running towards this group of scare actors, because there weren't that many, we got through them relatively quickly, and so the adrenaline just kind of came and went pretty fast, and so. Getting there as early is always a tough issue sometimes, and so in terms of how much it was worth it, it's like it was entertaining enough to want to go and get there early, but I'd put it at the bottom of the 2 shows. It's just it's just the bottom, which by default means the Jabawockeez were the best, which is what my reaction was, because we kind of went there as a last minute thing.
Yeah,
we happened to have time because one of the mazes had a really long wait time, where like we could either go to a maze or... Actually,
it was Stranger Things we were trying to go to, but they were having technical difficulties.
Oh, yes.
And it was temporarily closed, so it was kind of like a saving grace, because we're like, well, Jabawockeez is about to start, let's watch that. As soon as that ended, Stranger Things went up. And it was like so quick that it didn't even post a wait time yet, so there was like no one in line, so it was like...
Yeah, that was actually
really
pretty
good
cool.
For us.
But the show itself, the Jabawockeez was really impressive.
So the next thing we're going to rank is the 4 scare zones. So Scare Zone 1, if you guys are not familiar with like how Horror Nights typically names them, Scare Zone 1 is the one where you enter the park. It's also the Scare Zone that's used in the Scaremony, which in this year it was Spirits and Demons of the East, so it had this Asian theme. And then next to that, Scare Zone 2 is the one right outside Holidays in Hell. So it's part of the maze, but it's also its own Scare Zone, so you don't have to go through the maze to experience the Scare Zone. And it's called Christmas in Hell, so it's a good blend. The third one is Toxic Tunnel, which is returning. It's always around for Horror Nights.
Really? I feel like I don't remember going to that one.
Yeah, it's always there. They just changed the theme, and that Toxic Tunnel is the default if they don't have a theme for it.
Oh, okay.
And then,
maybe I remember it as something else.
That's the one you find on the way to the Metro sets, and in the Metro sets is the All Hallows Evil section, or Scare Zone.
Points for having a pun in the name.
Yeah. So how we rank them is the bottom. This is where we actually disagreed.
Are we starting from the bottom?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because your number 4 was...
my number 4, I believe, was Spirits and Demons of the East. Yes, I remember. Basically, like what I said earlier during the Scaremony, I kind of wish there were a lot more actors, and I feel like going through that part of the park was mostly as scary as it was, because that's where you had the guys with the chainsaws, or most of them. It felt a bit inconvenient because I was just trying to get to other like parts of the maze, like, oh great, these people are here, they're gonna stop me. And a couple of them did, right in my face. I'm like, oh gosh, now I'm scared. And you know, they smelled my fear, they smelled that drop of blood, so a bunch of them were chasing me around. And so
it's like, if you don't want to be followed, don't do what Lawrence did, which is don't show your fear.
I reacted. It's what I do. It's my job.
Even though it's number 4 on his list, I think you could.
It was effective.
It was really good.
It was effective. Yes.
By no means was it bad.
Yeah, these ranking systems don't necessarily mean that these things were bad, and you know, the actors were giving it their all and they did a good job. I mean, there has to be a bottom by default, and that was my bottom.
And then for me, my number 4 was Christmas in Hell at the end of Holidays in Hell. Just because I feel like because you haven't seen it before, but the set pieces are reused if you've seen a video of that. And I think they were reused from the Krampus maze and the old Holidays in Hell, which was a Scare Zone last year. So I feel like I've seen the things before. It was still cool and I liked it. There was the still performer that was the Nutcracker.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. You know, it's funny though because it's right after a maze, so it's like it kind of just feels like an extended maze, which I think is kind of interesting because like you think you're safe and then oh no, here are these people here coming out hacking me up in the spirit of Christmas.
It's funny because if you watched our video of Holidays in Hell, at the end there was this female ice princess, and you're like, oh Elsa, no.
Did you catch that? Yeah. That's what it looked like. Is that who it was supposed to be? Like
I guess.
Nightmare Elsa?
Probably.
That's what it
was
like.
An ice princess or ice queen.
Golly.
And then for number 3, it's pretty much swapped. Your number 3 is...
Oh, Toxic Tunnel?
No, it was...
oh, yeah, I thought we were talking about them together.
Christmas in Hell. Yeah, so...
But yeah,
we already described them, but pretty much...
The reasons he liked them was what made it... The reasons he liked them were the reasons I had for making it be my number 3. And the reasons I assume I liked Spirits and Demons of the East is why you liked that one for number 3.
Mm-hmm.
So I just enjoyed the Christmas thing because I liked how I felt like an extended maze. The person in front of me actually got really scared too, and that was entertaining. Just because you walk out of there and you're outside and stuff, and the shock factor was effective.
Yeah, I mean, for me, Spirits and Demons of the East, the reason why I like that so much better is the creativity. They have that. What was that? It's a meme where there's that lady with the creepy face, the eyes bugged out, the lip goes this way.
Oh, Momo with the skeleton, like no nose, right?
Yeah.
Smiling, very cute.
Yeah, that was a character.
Where? Wait, are you serious?
On the Scare Zone, yeah. When I first saw it, I'm like, whoa, that's here. But yeah, it was like those kinds of characters. That reason why I like that Scare Zone more. And then there was a 4-legged stilt performer that looked like the Grudge.
Those were impressive. The stilt performers were impressive because they were like.
It was, and then how they contort their bodies, it was all creepy. I just loved it. And then there was the living statues there. Going to the next one, we agreed on their number 2 and number 1. Number 2 best is Toxic Tunnel. Yeah, I love it. But you love it more. Why?
Yes, I really did enjoy it. I think the enclosed space made it more interesting, and the lights it felt like a toxic tunnel. Like I was going in there and they had this music playing, and it just felt very grunge. And so it was scary as I'm walking through there. You know, you see these people coming at you, and you wish you can just move to the other side, and you have this desire to run away, which again I did at one point, and again they followed me, and again at one point this one guy, I was trying to walk past him by like kind of keeping to the walls, and first this one actor put his hand on the wall to stop me, and I had
he limboed under the arm.
I was like against the wall, and I was just like sliding. It was good. Kudos to all the actors. They really do commit, and they made it fun and scary. But I enjoyed Toxic Tunnel just because of the atmosphere. And we had to go through there a couple times, and maybe that's part of why it left such an impression, because it was scary. But it was good. It was fun.
And then our favorite scare zone.
Yes. Was it your favorite?
It's both of our favorites. Yeah, definitely. It's All Hallows Evil, which is where the Holidays in Hell scare zone was last year in the Metro sets.
Oh. Yeah, I really don't remember that. but I do remember All Hallows Evil. Again, points for puns in the title. It was, in fact, this scare zone I wanted to go to twice. I just forgot to bring it up towards the end of our stay. But because it was the first thing we did actually when we got into the park.
Other than Toxic Tunnel.
Yeah, you're right. Aside from Toxic Tunnel and the Scaremony that we had to go through, it was the first intentional maze, the first intentional.
Because it really was a mini maze. I wouldn't say it's scare zone. I'd say it's a mini maze.
Like it has, yeah. Because I mean, it's kind of off to the side, so you had to kind of intentionally go to it to experience it, and then you just go through walls and stuff, and then you walk out. It's a maze.
Really, the only optional scare zone when going through the Metro sets or anywhere in the park. And because of that, no one went. And so we had the privilege of being the only two. Because I saw people go in, I'm like, wait, it's open? Because no one was in there, so I assumed it was closed.
Yeah.
So we were the only ones going through the scare zone, and of course, we got targeted.
Yeah, as usual.
And it was awesome.
It was good. The masks were actually really, really cool. In fact, somebody in one of our videos was telling me about where the masks came from, and they're actually pretty, high quality and whatnot. So that was really interesting. But the one thing I regret is the fact that it being the first thing we did around 7:30, it was still daylight. There was still sunlight out, and so I feel like that diminished how scary it was, and it was still really scary and uncomfortable. Like the atmosphere was kind of scary because it was very. I keep forgetting what time period were the Salem witch trials.
1800s.
It was very 1800s.
1700s.
Like you felt like you were going through a corn maze, and you saw witches and stuff like that, and it was very 1800s forest mysticism, if that makes sense. But it was really good. It was really scary, and I wish I could experience it at night, which I think would have been even more terrifying. Because there's no roof. That's the unfortunate part. It's just there's an open ceiling, so that. You know what's funny? I don't know if this was intentional, but at one point during the maze, when we turned the corner, I saw like 3 scare actors in their costumes, and I think they were just talking to each other. I don't think they were expecting us to.
Yeah, they were.
Or it was part the way I interpreted it was, oh, maybe they're just having a meeting discussing
how to kill us.
Yeah, something like that. But in hindsight, I think they just weren't expecting us because nobody was going. It was literally just us.
Fair, yeah. I feel like we were like the second group to go in through that scare zone.
Probably.
Because everyone was just passing, going straight to like Ghostbusters, Frankenstein meets the Wolfman.
Yeah, I didn't even notice it. I didn't know until you said, oh, hey, let's go through the scare zone here. And I was like, what scare zone?
Yeah.
So starting off with the mazes, we're going to get through our dishonorable mention first because you guys might know which one it is. It was the Walking Dead maze. That maze was literally inconsequential. The word of the day that I want to throw in there. Basically, it's the maze it's there every single. I mean, that's the maze that's there on regular Universal Studio nights.
It's a year-round maze, so if you've done it once, you've done it all the times.
Which I have done it once, and that was enough. Like it really wasn't on a list of priorities to get through when you're going through the horror nights because all these mazes are temporary. So, I mean, it's fun, it's good and stuff, but it didn't. It was very unpopular. Yeah. Nobody was there.
I mean, if you guys have done horror nights before, the only difference is they add a few more scare actors, and on the wait times board that always has the shortest wait, like 5 or 10 minutes, because everyone's prioritizing everything else.
Yeah. So nice try, The Walking Dead. You gave it your best shot, but people just couldn't stop laughing at the way the words are written on that door.
Don't dead open inside.
It's a comedy maze.
Abby knows what we're talking about off camera. Now we're gonna go with the mazes of 2019.
So we're starting with our lowest tier, which we described as the probably not section. Basically, the mazes that, like The Walking Dead, are inconsequential, but they are only there, you know,
For this year.
Yeah, during the season. And so if you have time to get to them, by all means, enjoy them. I think, like you said, if you enjoy the
franchises they're based on, yeah, by all means, do it. We're not gonna stop you. This is just
I know.
If we were to go back again, we probably wouldn't bother to go to these mazes unless the wait times are really, really, really short.
Yeah, pretty much.
But knowing these properties, they're not going to be short wait times.
That's true.
If anything, when we went, these were the highest wait times consistently
Yeah,
throughout the
surprisingly.
night, and they're the bottom of our list. So, shall we?
Starting with the tour one.
The two. So the
Okay,
very
right,
bottom
So
of all.
the very
mazes.
very bottom of this section is the. Oh, it hurts Elijah. I'm sorry, Elijah, but we both agreed it was Stranger Things. As fun and interesting as that maze was to walk through, and I really enjoyed the creative aspect of it, especially because one section you have the scene from season 2 where she maps out the vines or the tunnels in the upside down.
Where you could see, like, when you're walking through the house, it's the vines written on papers.
Yeah, and that was it's a creative maze, but it really didn't deliver on the scare factor, surprisingly enough. And I was scared through a lot of these mazes.
Don't get me started on the scare on this one.
Yes, actually, go ahead. I'll get you started.
This is not. There are scare actors technically in this maze, but none of them scared. This maze, I feel like, was more of a. They didn't do much to scare the guests. It was more to recreate season 2. Like, most of the characters here are like, you know, there's the Hopper lookalike. There's the. I forgot Winona Ryder's character. Oh, Joyce. Yeah, there was a Joyce lookalike, and then there was like the people in the hazmat suits. They're there to just recreate scenes.
Yeah.
And then the only scares come from the Demodogs, which are puppets. That's it. It's cool to look at. There was a giant mind flare. It was like the big spider thing. Those strobe lights that was moving.
Oh, that's what it's called?
Yeah, the
spider?
mind flare.
Wait, oh, mind flare.
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay, yeah. That was cool.
That was impressive.
And that's the thing. The maze was more impressive to look at than scary. Like you said, it was more like a maze, or it was like a museum, like a tour.
It was. It felt like a walkthrough tour if you're a fan.
Yes, and so it was fun in that regard, but I definitely wouldn't say it was. The wait times got to like up to an hour at some point.
It was 90 minutes at one point.
And I'm really glad we avoided that. That's the maze.
That had technical issues.
Yeah.
And I assume, my guess, it was the mind flare because it was a giant puppet, and the movements were very limited in how it was moving. Only one arm was moving, so I don't know how they're working
part of me
around
thinks that it should have been moving more.
We could be wrong, but yeah.
But I think I saw somebody that said that the fire alarm was pulled.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How? That was the coldest maze. It's in a soundstage.
No, and he likes it cold, but but yeah. So unfortunately, when it had that temporarily out of order status or whatever, that's when we went to go see the Jabawockeez. And so when we got out, the wait time was almost non-existent, and so it was worth it. You know, it was worth it to go there and just not have to wait and just kind of enjoy it, because as fun as it was, not. It's inconsequential. If you go there or not, I feel like you're not missing much.
I'm such a big Stranger Things fan. I wore my Stranger Things shirt there.
Yeah.
Even though we hated it, we went on it twice.
I know.
Because the wait time was that low.
Hate's a strong word, but
we disliked it.
We were disappointed.
And we waited 5 minutes each time, so
yeah. So
it's not bad.
it's not go. It's just.
That's how.
I don't recommend investing too much time into it. If you have time at the end of your day, at the end of your time there, it's like, then enjoy it, but don't expect too much.
Yeah.
Unless maybe you're really easily scared and you're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, if this is your first horror night and you want to gauge it, let this be the maze. Let this be your first maze. Like, I don't know if I like getting scared. This one is a good one, a good first one to go to.
Yeah, if you've never been to a haunted maze before, just try that one. And that brings us to our
second, probably not, which is the second worst of the new mazes this year, which is
at the top of the worst, the best of the worst. That would be Ghostbusters. Unfortunately, I'm not sure what It's funny because I'm not sure what did it for me, but going through that maze, kind of like with Stranger Things, I wasn't really scared. It had a couple jump scares and things like that where ghosts pop out of you, pop out at you. But I think what did it for me, what actually kind of lessened the experience, was because I mean, this isn't exactly their fault, but I could see some of the actors in costumes like behind the machines, and there was this one part where you see a ghost like that's eating food off a table, and I could see
Slimer, yeah.
Slimer. I'm not too familiar with the Ghostbusters franchise, but I saw the person in the costume, like behind him, like kind of
puppeteering him, kind of.
Yeah, and
which is actually impressive. It's not really a puppet; it's half a costume.
Yeah,
and like, the lower half is black, so it looks like he's floating, which is cool.
Yeah, I think the lighting was just a little.
It wasn't good on our angle.
Yeah, I think the angle we were at made me see almost everything that they were doing, and so it took away some of the impact. But on top of that, again, like Stranger Things, it felt more like a tour through the world rather than something scary. And to be fair, I don't think Ghostbusters is a scary franchise.
Yeah, but like you said, it just felt like a museum, a walkthrough. The first scare didn't come until a quarter through the maze.
Yeah.
Most of it was reenactments. I'll give props to the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, which was a projection mapped face, and it was a giant figure. But it was like the Ghostbusters weren't live performers. I guess because, if you guys didn't know, Universal was putting out a second round of auditions looking for the Ghostbusters lookalikes because they couldn't find any of the first round of auditions. I understand why there was really, performer-wise, 3 Ghostbuster team members. And then, yeah, it was just weird. Some of them didn't look like it. The Egon lookalike in the beginning was really good. Looked like Egon. Kind of looked like a feminine Egon. Might have been a woman, but yeah. But this is a thing about a lot of these mazes too. There was a lot of black walls where nothing happened.
Oh.
Black walls, black curtains. This was like not even any like set designs. It was literally just something you have to get through to get to the next scene. Nothing happened. No scare actors, nothing.
So next up on the tier list, we have the categories labeled depends on the weight. Basically, these are the mazes that are really, really good, and I definitely recommend them above saying, they're expendable, go there if you want. I'd say try to actually go to these mazes. But keep in mind that the weight, I'd say go there like the title suggests, it depends on the wait time.
Say 60 minutes or under. I think these would be a good experience. 45 is great.
I was gonna say, yeah, you're a patienter man than I am, and I like to think I'm very patient. But yeah, I'd say an hour, 45 minutes. Then you look at your party that you're with, and you go, okay, let's go. But if they're up higher than that, feel free to look for something else. And at the very bottom of this list,
there are 3 on this list, by the way. So the bottom one is
us. Because we are very boring. You don't want to. I'm just kidding.
But yeah, Jordan Peele's Us. So this is the one. This one I had a high wait time as well.
Yeah, it did.
But it wasn't as bad as like Stranger Things and Ghostbusters. It didn't go to like 90, but actually both of them did at some point in the night.
I didn't notice. I think this one got to like an hour.
Yeah.
And I think it's the one we waited for the most, right?
Yeah, we did. But yeah, Us is like...
Yes, Us.
This had the prettiest facade. Like, the entrance was the best. If you've seen the movie, it's the entrance of the...
Funhouse on the beach?
I forgot what it's called. Vision Quest, I think?
Yeah, I think so. The House of Mirrors?
Yeah, it was...
And it felt authentic. And like I expected, they had the I Got 5 on it remix kind of scary version playing outside, and I was feeling that. I was like, okay, this is getting kind of scary. I was very hyped because I love the movie. And the maze itself was a little...
It was too dark. Not like evil dark. It was the hardest to see in.
Yeah, and that's saying something for me because I was keeping my eyes shut for a lot of... Well, not shut, but, I was trying not to see things during most of these mazes. And in this one, I was actually trying to see stuff, but it was just really, really dark. Which I think helped the aesthetic, but there was something missing about it. I guess it's just the
first scare didn't come till halfway through the maze. That's what kind of made me
grumpy. there was a lack of stuff happening. Kind of like with Stranger Things, you're kind of just walking through the movie rather than a horror horror maze or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the atmosphere was a bit more scary than Stranger Things, which is why it avoided the miss list. Like, this did have a scare factor to it because, you know, there's a sense of anxiety. I was like, oh, they're gonna pop out any second. I wonder what they're gonna do. And you know, some of the masks that the scare actors were wearing were...
It was creepy.
Yeah, there were some genuinely creepy moments there.
It was the character Red, Lupita Nyong'o's character, her double, the tethered version of her, which is actually, if you've seen the movie, spoiler alert, is the real version. The mask was creepy as hell. And it was like, the tethered version of Red has the mask, but the... What's her character's name? I'm bad with names.
Which one?
The real version of Lupita Nyong'o, the one we follow the mom.
Sally?
But yeah, the mom. The doubles they had for her looked really good.
Yeah, they did.
They were really convincing.
And a couple of the scenes that they were recreating from the movie were really, really nice.
There was the fight scene that I
that's
the fight scene was like, whoa.
When she's in there, she's like separating the papers. I was like, that looks authentic.
Yeah, it was like the Red version was separating and didn't know the other version of her would come through the door.
Oh, did that surprise you?
Yeah, that one I didn't see coming. She came with like, was she holding a weapon?
Some kind of
and then they
metal
fought.
thing.
I was like, ooh, that looked good.
To be fair, it was kind of spoiled for me because as I was walking through, I saw her returning back to her hiding spot. That's why.
That was the unfortunate part. You liked it, but a lot of the times we went through these mazes, we saw the reset, not the scare. We saw the scares resetting.
That was good for me because I was scared and it helped me know where the people were coming from if I didn't just avoid them altogether. Because as I was walking by, the scare actors were already going back into their hiding spot. Because I'd walk into a room and I'd see them already scaring somebody else. And I was like, alright, I'm good. I timed it perfectly. But even if I got all the scares from us, it was okay. Just depends on the wait. Like I'd go there again. Like depends on the wait.
If you see a 30-minute for this, we recommend it.
Yeah,
by all means, go for a 30-minute wait on this.
And fortunately, the line where you wait for this, they had the things on the screens playing, so that was kind of entertaining.
Yeah, there's actually they play episodes. There's a new, I think it's a streaming channel called Creep TV, which is what loaned out Creepshow to Halloween Horror Nights. They were playing full-on episodes.
Yeah.
I was like, not that I liked them because it was like the cheesy kind of horror, but
it really was.
It kept me occupied. The wait time just went by.
Yeah, and it was actually fun because with a lot of people in the line, when certain scenes happened in one episode, like this one part, particularly in one of these episodes, everybody in the line reacted. Like, it was pretty hilarious. It was actually kind of fun.
Yes, everyone in line bonded over the queue.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's us. It's the bottom of the depends on the wait list. We still recommend it. It's not bad. It's just don't prioritize it, we think.
Yeah. And now higher in this tier, still depends on the wait, but these are actually they're pretty good. The next one is Killer Klowns from Outer Space. The extremely popular famous 80s movie brought to life. It was barfing 80s at me, and I liked it. I liked that aesthetic. It was colorful. It felt like I was walking into an 80s movie.
It was the brightest maze.
That too.
The brightest.
Yeah, but you know what I think what made it so authentic was the fact that because it's an 80s movie, in the movie the props and the special effects were all practical, and they looked they were practical, real costume effects, no real CGI. And then in the maze, it's the same thing. It's all these practical effects. And so I haven't seen all of the movie. I've seen bits and pieces, but it looked just like the movie. Like the clowns looked like the movie clowns because it was practical effects, really 80s level budget kind of things. And that actually kind of made it scary because it was like, oh snap, it's the actual clown from the movie. And so it had its desired effect. There were a couple of times where I was walking through the cotton candy cocoons.
Yeah.
And one of these characters, they actually got me because they all looked fake, but one of them was real. And
it was cleverly done because most of them were like body bags or hanging on the walls. So the scare actors were on their feet, and you don't notice the feet because it's blacked out. I was
wondering how they did it, and that's probably how.
I remember you were dodging. You don't know which one was the dummy.
Because
you saw hands going towards you. You were like,
yeah, there's a few of them, and they're just standing there like this with their arms out, and they're swinging around. So it's like you feel something on you, and like, oh, somebody's there. Like, it's not, and then somebody intentionally reaches for you, and it gets you. So it was good. I mean, and I'm giving it this praise, and it was a fun experience. I wouldn't say it was the most intense maze.
Oh, for sure, no. But
it was a good experience. Like I kind of feel like it's how Ghostbusters could or should have been. In terms of the
Yes,
fun.
that's a good way to put
Because
it.
they're both 80s franchises, and you know, this one just was a bit scarier. Granted, Killer Klowns from Outer Space is a horror movie, so it lends itself more easily to a horror maze. So, you know, but it was good. So if you have some time for that, again, under 30 minutes, take
That's
it, you know, book it. It's a must. If it's like 2 hours, like there's some other ones on this list that you should probably spend your time on.
Yes. And
Ooh, in fact, we're still on the depends on the wait time, but for me, this entry just barely made it into this one. I wanted to put it in the
do not miss part.
yes, that's the next category, but I you know, if I'm being objective, I mean as objective as you can be, you know, the fear and stuff is kind of subjective anyway. It's all our opinions, but if I'm being honest with myself, as much as I like this maze, it's a depend on the wait time. It's the Frankenstein versus the Wolfman maze.
Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, yeah.
Oh, meets the Wolfman. That was almost one of my aesthetically favorite mazes, just because I think it's just because I like crossovers.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for crossovers, so the concept alone made it exciting. And I think that was the first maze we went into, right?
It was the first actual maze, yeah.
Yeah. And so I was already hyped up on adrenaline and anxiety, and it just the maze did its job. I was intrigued because I wanted to, because I haven't seen any of those movies, unfortunately, Frankenstein or the Wolfman, but I know them well enough to understand what was going on when I saw certain scare actors jump out. I'm like, oh, I kind of get what he's doing in this movie or whatever. And there was one room in particular that was my favorite, where it's it has Wolfman and Frankenstein on a table together.
They were like on a medical gurney.
There you go.
They were pointed up like this in the upright position.
Yeah, and you have to walk in between them, and that made me anxious. I was like, one of them's gonna reach out and grab me. I mean, they were being electrocuted or something, but it was cool. It was really fun. I think it was a good classic maze. Like, that is a staple maze. Like, it didn't do anything exceptional. It didn't do anything, you know, underwhelming. It was just, it scared me. It was good. It was an enjoyable concept. It was just a well-rounded maze.
Yeah.
Its stats were well-rounded.
My explanation is because last year my favorite maze was Universal Monsters, and this is kind of like, I wouldn't say a sequel of it. I guess it'd be kind of a spin-off of it, because both of those characters were featured in the maze last year.
Oh.
And it was fun. It was really fun. Yeah, my favorite scene was when they were on the gurneys. They were just strapped down, and you have to walk in between them, and both of them were like, I think Frankenstein was yelling, like, help or something towards us. I was
That's
like,
sad.
oh. And then there's a scene which is like one of the new methods of scaring that I guess John Murray, the creative director, started last year. Was it looks like a blank wall or a blank movie screen, and it actually splits apart, and the characters come through. That was a really effective scare, because you walk in between two scares, one showing the Wolfman movie, the classic movie, and one showing Frankenstein, and then they both pop at you.
Wasn't it like the movie posters?
It was next to the movie posters, but they were on like the projection
Okay.
screen. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I'm surprised. Yeah, that got me. That was a genuine like moment, and I'm glad it wasn't a scare actor that could follow you, because they would have targeted me when they smelled that first drop of fear. So now we're going into our last category of categorization. These are the S tier top mammers of the jammas, the mazes that if you know you're going in there and you're only gonna get to maybe 3 or 4 mazes. Per our recommendations, these are the mazes that you'll get the most out of, most bang for your buck.
Which is, let me preface this, these are not all of them, but these are the mazes I cared the least about going into this event. Like, these are the most obscure mazes. They were the biggest surprise.
That is true, actually. You know what? Because they're not. I mean, they're franchisey sort of. Like, some of them have, like, you know, there's some, but like they're not big names at this point in time. So yeah, they were kind of
They were the lowest wait times, and they were the best mazes.
Yeah, I think so. I really think so.
So the odds are in your favor if this trend continues throughout the rest of the season.
Yeah, unless somehow this video goes viral and we've totally flipped the script, but
sorry ahead of time.
But anyway,
we have 4 mazes in this category, and the 4th one,
starting at the bottom, would be Creepshow. This one was actually interchangeable with the 3rd one on this list too for me, but putting it at the bottom, Creepshow, it was really, really good. In fact, just waiting outside for it was really short, but it actually already scared me just because you hear this line of this dialogue exchange going on, and it just sounds creepy. It's this guy talking to his son who's like into like, I guess, scary comics. I think like Creep Comics or something was a real comic brand.
It was a comic line.
Okay, so is this based on a show or a movie?
Show and comic book, yeah.
It's like the 80s R.L. Stein, right? The 80s Goosebumps, basically.
Essentially, yeah. But yeah, exactly what it is, but creepier.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't like because Goosebumps is a bit it's
kiddie.
almost child friendly, but this was definitely not child friendly. Like it was genuinely disturbing to walk through, and
we were so tense.
Yeah, that's the thing.
This.
Like just going in there, I was already really scared.
And this is the maze host. He was letting in small groups at a time. Like normally maybe like 10 to 20 group or 10 to 20 people will go in as a group. This guy was letting in one group at a time. We were two. We went two by ourselves, and then the two behind us, they went by themselves. So it was a more
you're right. I think we did eventually catch up to the people.
Yeah,
which I was glad because I remember walking into this maze. I was like, I need somebody's back to stare at because if not, I'm looking around because it's lit decently well. You know, the atmosphere is just done so well. I'm not gonna lie. The reason this one's interchangeable with the one above it on this list is because
they were kind of similar.
Yeah, and I got the parts confused. And so if I describe something that's actually in the maze right after this, my apologies. But it gave me a very unsettling feel because I don't know, all the creatures that were there. It was a creep show. It was like going into a.
It was different stories, and then you answered different stories with a different comic book panel.
Yeah, and like it's like a demented circus. Obviously, it's like a very scary version of the Killer Klowns. It's like you're going into a circus where you're seeing all these different weird things, and I think those effects are easier to make because they're not as exaggerated. They're just it's kind of real, and I think this is where I'm getting confused with the other one though, which is also really, really good. But it was very memorable. I just remember being scared. I might not be able to remember the exact details, but I remember leaving that maze being like, oh gosh, I'm out, finally, thank God. It was like, it was a lot. It's a creep show. Definitely one of the must get in line as soon as you can. And we'll move on to the third one.
Go on. Also about Creepshow because one of the reasons why we like this and the other three that are in this Do Not Miss section is because there is a consistent amount of scare actors once you start in the maze all the way to the end.
Yeah.
There's no part like in, let's say, Ghostbusters or Stranger Things where there's a giant chunk of nothing happening. There's black walls in this one, but it's like the set design's really cool. It's like there's that section where it's like the crate or the monster in the crate, and there's like a monkey looking thing.
Oh, I might not remember that one.
That one was creepy to me, and it's like above you, so it's like it's looking down, trying to grab you.
Oh yes, okay, you're right. I was thinking something on the ground. I was like, no, but no, it was a big box. It was like okay, it was reaching down. I remember that. I think it's because with a lot of these mazes, I got lucky. As I walked in, I saw them resetting, and so I was able to avoid them. But it was just that scary and uncomfortable for me. So, that's why my opinion could be taken with a grain of salt. But it had a really strong effect.
And that leads us to
number three. Like, as I said like twice already, this one's interchangeable with Creepshow in my opinion. It's House of a Thousand Corpses. But what makes this one stand above just a little bit is the fact that one, I can remember it more. Because this is the one that was based, I think, on a movie? Yeah,
this one's based on a movie. Neither of us have seen the movie, so we came in with a fresh palette.
But I think when I was describing Creepshow, I meant to describe House of a Thousand Corpses. It felt real because it was just a family, right? It's like it's like a psychotic family that's murdering people.
Dr. Satan was like in there.
Isn't that Creepshow? Dr. Satan?
No, that was because it was on the facade of House of a Thousand Corpses. That's why I remember it.
Oh, okay. Well, still, all the characters were humanoid, and so it felt more uncomfortable because it was like going into a horror movie that just feels a bit more. I don't know how to explain it, but you're in a situation that just feels more realistic. Like these are human beings that are carrying knives and they're killing people, and like that seems more likely than killer clowns from outer space. And so seeing all these people walk around, it just made me feel that much more unsettled. And all these scenes of how people were getting butchered and like it was like I don't even want to see that movie. It gave me like, I don't know if you guys know the movie The Collector or something like that. It gave me that kind of vibes. Like you're in this house that's like just, you know, something's gonna kill you at every turn, and it's like, ooh, I wanted to get out of there. Like again, genuinely scary. Oof. It was.
What I liked about it too was the soundtrack. I don't know what it was, like a tunnel scene. The soundtrack was just so eerie. That's the part where it's like a group in front of us, they accidentally went the wrong way, and there was a maze. So
Oh, is that when that happened?
Yeah, and then we
Okay.
ended up going to the front by ourselves.
I
because
hated that. Yes.
It was that was the most tense out of all the mazes that I've been, because I
Yeah,
was like,
okay.
That's when the soundtrack. It was like it started going like and they would start going changing the pitch, and it got lower and lower and lower as you went through the tunnel scene. And then you got to the scare actor, and I was like, this is really effective.
Yeah, those people in front of me, you don't know who you are, but I don't know either. But I was using this one person's bag. I was like, I'm just gonna look at his bag. I'm gonna look at the scares, the jumps from my periphery, because like I was like, oh no, that's too scary. Oh no, that's too scary. But then they took a wrong turn, and they were going out the exit. And you know, the people that are in the maze to kind of guide you in the right path put us there like, oh no, you guys go this way. And I was like, what? Like, wait. And so
Wait
now,
them first.
yeah, I was kind of like, wait, Elijah, like, let's just wait for them to go out first. But we just walked ahead. And so it was just us in the front. And I was like, no, I don't have any backs to look at. And so I was scared. It's the impression that these mazes leave on me.
Yeah, that's a lot of what terms like our ranking is, like coming out of it. How did we feel?
And this again.
We came out sweaty out of this one.
Yeah.
We did. We were like, oh my god.
Yeah, I was feeling pretty damp.
So and that was in the water world queue, so it's actually one of the shorter mazes. It did not feel short.
Yeah. You
It's
know
like-
what though? Mentioning water, I'm so sorry. Real fast, one thing I forgot to mention during the Stranger Things maze, there's a scene where you get squirted with water. And it was a lot.
It was like, you know, if you've been horned before, it's like, oh, a spray there, because I think you get wet in Creepshow too, right? You get a little wet. If I'm not mistaken, there's a gory scene where you get wet. Could be another maze, but
Might have missed it.
Stranger Things. Oh my god.
There's like these things on the. It's like somebody has a water gun and they just.
It felt like a hose.
Yeah.
It wasn't just like, it was like, it hurt.
It was a stream of water.
And
was crazy.
It went in our face, and it was...
Yeah, we went to Stranger Things twice, and the first time, it almost got on my mouth. So the second time when we went to that area, I was walking like this.
And it still hurt.
Okay, I don't know if it hurt.
For me, it hurt because I was in front of you.
Maybe you're
Like,
like...
it hit me just directly right here. I'm like, what? Ow, what was that?
Yeah,
I
so...
was like, yeah, they toned down the water on Stranger Things.
Anyway, but back to the...
Do not miss.
Yes. Number 2 on the do not miss list.
It's a beautiful maze.
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, it's...
I was nodding in agreement.
Oh, one of the prettiest mazes I've seen is the Curse of Pandora's Box, which is a completely original maze. This was based on Greek mythology, which I'm not too familiar with. I don't know if you are, because you've taken Greek mythology classes, right?
No, I have not.
Oh, I thought you took it in middle school.
Did I? No.
Reverse.
But I am familiar with I'm vaguely familiar with the story of Pandora's box. I just know that she has a box that contains bad stuff, and she opens it, unleashing evil into the world, basically.
And that's essentially what happens in the maze. But
Yeah, I think the opening, the start of it, you hear a narration about it.
Mm-hmm. It was a cool, like, distorted voice. It was a female voice, but then the effect they used on it was creepy. It was almost like robotic or demonic. And right from the get-go. Again, this one I think this had the most characters.
It had a lot.
This
of
one
stuff
and
going
number
on.
1 had the most characters, which was...
I don't know. I mean, you know, maybe your eye is better than mine. I can't tell an animatronic from a scare actor sometimes,
Oh,
unless they're literally like just moving towards me. But I remember this one just had a lot going on. Like
Yes.
everywhere I looked, there was something scary happening. Either it looked scary just because the imagery was really strange, or there was a machine, or there was a person. Like there was nowhere to be safe. It was just a lot. Like that's how I'd describe it. It was just a lot of stuff.
And it's like once you enter the maze, you get like the little room. It's like there's a scare actor there too. He's kind of like he actually looks like a maze host. He's just hooded. He's just creeping behind you. But after that, it takes off running. It's just the maze doesn't slow down at all. It's just like this happens, all the way to the end. And there's a scene with Medusa that I really liked.
What, the projection on the wall?
No, it was it was one of the puppets. It was a giant Medusa head because that
was
really cool.
That thing came out of the darkness.
That one is like sometimes the puppets like you see them coming. Oh, it's right there. No, this one was in the pitch black dark.
Yeah, and
it moves forward.
Yeah, you're right. Oh my gosh.
It's like because before that there was a scene with like stone soldiers. I'm like, oh, these are just collections. And then it makes sense when you get to Medusa. You're like, oh, oh, I get it. And then there's the part that scared you, which was the spiders.
I think. Oh, yes.
Spider section.
I'm not like arachnophobic, but obviously the spider things make me uncomfortable. Like slight tangent at Harry Potter world during the Harry Potter ride with the spider section.
Journey, yeah.
The spider section that always makes me really uncomfortable, and this also did it just because you hear
You hear it's like the speakers. It starts from the back and moves forward, so it feels like it's moving with the sound effect.
So that was the part that I did find uncomfortable.
And it's the hanging bodies. A lot of the mazes have mazes.
I like pushed them aside, and I was
they're wrapped in webs, and then you get to like I guess the character's name is Arachnia. She's feasting on one of them.
Oh, that's what she was doing.
Just like, and then she turns to you. I'm like, I like that.
It was Again, my apologies for not remembering certain details. It was a long night, but like I said, it's the impressions at the end of the maze that I do remember the most.
I remember the reason why you're scared of this one is when we came out. This is the one where you're looking down the most, because like
I was looking down a lot sometimes. And so, last but not least, the moment you've all been waiting for. Of course, by now it's kind of by process of elimination. There's not much hype. So, highest rated maze, Holidays in Heck, HE double hockey sticks. It was.
Oh, that was so creative, fun, and scary.
Points for creativity. Walking, like, it was the most creative maze. Like, I thought, it was just so creative. I don't know how else to say it. It's such a good idea, too. Like, literally, I was actually excited to keep. Like, I didn't want the maze to end. Like, I wanted to see more because each.
Coming from the person who didn't want to go with
Yeah. Well, I wanted to go. I was.
You were hesitant.
I was hesitant. But in that maze, each section, like each room you enter, is another holiday. And then I think it started off on the calendar. Like we started with New Year's, ended with Christmas, and so it was just creative. Like there was they missed some holidays. I'm sure I can't think of them all right now. But
they got the major ones.
Yeah, the most popular ones. They had New Year's Eve. That's where you start.
And essentially started the calendar going forward. Then it went to Valentine's. St.
Patrick's Day.
Easter. Then there was a 4th of July. Halloween.
Thanksgiving. That one was hilarious.
Thanksgiving was my favorite part.
They had like a giant turkey thing, and they went out and you actually heard like there was a chicken. It was a rooster sound. Yeah.
But it was mixed with the psycho themes. It was great.
It was just so entertaining, and it was scary though. Still, like it was. It was creepy because, it takes these beloved mascots for these holidays and turns them into something kind of twisted. And I'm like, no, not the Easter Bunny. It was,
the Easter Bunny was the funniest part. so much fun.
And it's like, I'm saying it's funny, but like I said, it was still scary and creepy. Like, it got some genuine, like, oos. And this is the maze that also leads right into the other scare zone. So it just keeps going. It's the gift that keeps on giving.
And it ends on the Christmas ones.
Literally, no pun intended. But points for puns anyway.
But I was gonna say, because you brought up the Thanksgiving one, did you see to the right what was on the Thanksgiving table?
Yes,
it was like a human version of a Thanksgiving meal. So there's a corpse roasted up like this, and I was like,
it has those little things that you put on the feet of the turkey, the white things.
Yeah,
it was like
that was creative. That was really, really clever.
It was kind of gross too, but it was a good maze. I had a lot of fun. I'd go through that maze again. I don't know what the wait time was, but by the time we had gone through all the things...
No, because we went on it towards the end of the day. Because normally, Horror Nights tip, most people tend to go to the closest maze first when they enter, and then work their way towards the end. So at the end of the night, the most popular mazes and the ones at the very back in the metro will have the longest wait. So at the end of the day, wait for the ones at the front, which is Holidays in Hell. We waited 5 minutes.
Yeah, you're right. But do not miss it if you can. If you get trapped in a line that's kind of long, like maybe even an hour, even a bit more than that, I'd say it's still worth it.
Yeah. 2 hours. If you had to do one maze, Holidays in Hell.
It was really, really fun. It was just like nothing but good things. It was like I can't keep harping on the creativity part 'cause it was just so nice. Like it was fun but scary at the same time, and it was
like scares began before you even enter the maze. Because there's like a mini scare zone, I guess you could say. When the maze hosts release you, alright, go ahead in the maze when they count how many in your party. There's scare actors already waiting at the entrance.
Oh yeah, you're right. We were getting in line and I saw one of them pop out at the person in the front of us. And it was just like, it got a lot of attention.
It did.
So it was worth it. It definitely deserved the attention. And there's an interesting trend, like you said, like the ones at the top are kind of like these obscure, original-ish properties that aren't
that we waited the least time for.
Yeah, I mean maybe that's just that. Maybe that has something to do with the freedom of creativity to put a bit more into it than just adhering to recreating sets. But it was really, really good. Absolutely. What I say is my favorite maze.
Actually,
close to it. Actually,
looking at it upside down, our maze is in terms of popularity of franchise.
You really think so? Walking Dead? Then
well, disregarding, that's still a dishonorable mention, whichever way we put our list.
True. No, but you're right.
Holidays in Hell, most obscure because original. Pandora's Box, most obscure because it's original. House of 1,000 Corpses, going up to the most popular Stranger Things and Ghostbusters. So in our mind, the more popular it is, the more disappointing it was, I guess, because we had higher expectations.
That's also true. And I also think because some of those franchises aren't horror franchises, so turning those into something scary might accidentally just end up looking kind of cheesy. But yeah, you're right. How about that? But I think that has something. I think that has something to do with it. There's a level of creative freedom that people can, that they can enjoy when creating these mazes. When you don't have to worry about making a scene look like how it did in a movie.
Yeah.
And so that makes a lot of sense. Holidays in Hell, holidays in whatever. But
ooh,
it was fun. It was really, really fun. Absolutely worth the wait. It was a good time. It was a good time. And it technically was the longest maze if you count the scare zone right after. It's really long.
That's true. It did feel pretty long.
Not a lot of, and I was okay with that. Like I really wanted it to be longer almost. Like I wish each holiday that they showed had more room so that they could put more things in there and add more holidays. Like it's creative and it was good and it was absolutely the best.
And consistent scare actors.
Yeah.
This one I feel like had the most because they're stuck. They had the scare zone at the end. There's a mini scare zone in the beginning, and then every single corner had at least one scare actor.
Yeah, because it had to. Like there's something major. It was good.
No black walls, or at least from what I remember.
Yeah, I think
every
you're
transition was done well.
Yeah.
So
they had a lot of material to work with.
Good job, the scare actors too. Props to the scare actors. Actually, not all of them. They did the best they could.
Seriously.
But Holidays in Hell, good job. It was the best scare zone last year. It's the best maze this year.
Universal, you got something there.
Alright, so yeah, that's pretty much it for our review and list of our rankings of the mazes. Just a recap, our dishonorable mentions: Walking Dead. If you have to, it's probably gonna be a 5-minute wait. If you want some air conditioning, go for Walking Dead.
Yeah, you're gonna be sweating a lot.
And probably not. We have Stranger Things and Ghostbusters. Depends on the weight. It would be Us, Killer Klowns, and Frankenstein and Wolfman. So pretty much, if it's 60 minutes or under, definitely do it. And the do not miss: Creepshow, House of 1,000 Corpses, Curse of Pandora's Box, and Holidays in Hell. So, if you've done the event already, let us know what you guys think. You agree with our list? By all means, we want to see your guys' list, so leave a comment down below.
Yeah.
I coughed.
Looking forward to reading all you guys have to say about this year's Horror Nights. Hope you guys enjoy it when you're out there. If you like this video, you like our review, feel free to give that like button a smash. Subscribe for more content like this in the future. And feel free to share this video around. Share the hype for Halloween Horror Nights. And thank you guys again. We'll see you next time.